side you on? Whose side? Whose side? Whose side? Whose side you on? Whose side? Whose side you on? Whose side? Whose side you on? Whose side you on? Whose side? Whose side? Whose side you on?
What's good?
Yeah. Been the same me since I came in this damn thing. Made my name in this.
Podcast 29. Almost to the big 3-0. Like my age. Damn, you're old. I'm old as shit. And I'm feeling it too. But my golf game is as strong as ever.
You're feeling it. You're looking it.
You're acting it.
Well, some of us have to grow up in order to keep this ship afloat.
You don't do shit.
Mm-hmm. All right.
29. That's pretty good.
Yeah, 29.
Who'd have thought we'd stick at it that long?
Really sticking with it. I don't know. I think it's good to just get in here and,
we're over halfway.
Force ourselves sometimes to come up with topics to talk about.
We're over halfway through a year's worth of podcasts.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah. When we hit that 52 number, that's when it's going to be legit.
Well, that's a great segue into, did you see Joe Budden sign with Spotify?
I did.
Dude, when you do the math, like 175 episodes, that's over like 3 years of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a lot of podcasts.
I don't know. I actually wanted to talk about that. So I guess we'll just jump right in. Because I was listening to that. The Joe Budden Podcast is one of my favorite podcasts. I mean, our podcast, I wouldn't say is like modeled after that, but it was definitely an inspiration for me wanting to do this podcast because it's one of my favorites. And they just, for those that don't know, they just announced that they signed a deal with Spotify to do their podcast exclusively through Spotify. And I was just listening to them make that announcement on their podcast, and I was super inspired. Because yeah, dude, 175 episodes once a week, staying consistent. That's like 3.5 years.
Like I know they take their like winter break.
But so how long is that?
I think I want to say it's like 2 weeks.
Okay, so it's basically 3.5 years.
It might be 3 weeks, but I think that's
it's basically 3.5 years. And they did it for free. They did this podcast for free.
Yeah, they didn't take any deals
for 3.5 years. No sponsorships, nothing. So like it was just inspiring because obviously doing what we do, you can kind of relate to a lot of things. And you're almost doing something blindly because there's so many short-term payouts that you could take along the way, and you have to know what you're in it for and know what the end game and the goal is. And it's like knowing that what you're doing is worthwhile. It's not magic. Like for us, our fan base didn't just happen out of thin air. Like we did a lot of things to get to the point where we're at, so I can drop a song and get thousands of plays, and I don't take that shit for granted because I remember when I was tallying every single play on a song, much less actually having people buy the music. So like I know what it took to get where I'm at, and it's obviously not the end game for us either. But even to get here, you have to look at all the little bullshit, and one of the things we've even preached on this podcast that we've done with our music, and we especially did in the first like 4 years that I related to with what they have done, is you do everything for free.
Right.
You spend money.
Right.
Even though you know you could cash in a little bit here. You could cash in a little bit here. Like when we were dropping those free mixtapes, we could have put them up for purchase and made some money.
Yep.
But it wouldn't have been big money.
Right.
And it's just it was relatable on a lot of that.
And you got to push through too, because there does come a point where you do it for long enough and then people start to catch wind of what you're doing and they're seeing that you're popular and they're being like, why aren't you doing this stuff? Why aren't you making money? Why aren't you putting it on certain platforms like that?
Yeah.
They make you feel stupid for not doing it.
Exactly.
And when you say no all the time and just stay true to your vision, you do get to the point like you can't see it. It's a trust thing.
Yeah.
It's not like you know where this is going. It's not like Joe Budden set out to sign with Spotify.
Right.
Episode 1 of the podcast.
He just
like,
knew
that
he was
wasn't the
building
goal.
something that was gaining traction and connecting to people, and he wanted to cash it in the right way.
Correct.
And he didn't know what that way was going to be. And he even talked about how along the way there were deals that he would have taken that in hindsight would have been bad,
Right.
But
they
luckily
just didn't work out.
Those
in some
people
ways.
and businesses didn't make it happen, and blah blah.
Yep.
And it was a blessing in
Yep.
disguise.
Yep.
And there's just so many of those things. Like, and I with them, I talk about us building a fan base, but with him, it took a long time. Like, they finally got that big loyal fan base, and they went a long time having a big loyal fan base without cashing that in. They could have said, "Look, we did it. We built this thing. We have offers. Let's take one." And like you mentioned, not only did they not what were you talking about? You said they didn't God, I lost my train of thought.
They didn't take the money right when the money got handed to them. Like they just stood the course, and they didn't set out to have a deal with Spotify. It was day one. It was just, we want to just create something big, and we don't necessarily know where it's going to go, but we know that we want it.
Oh
to,
yeah, that's
to
the other
be
thing
big.
I was going to say, because they could have taken those sponsorships and for, a few grand here, a few grand there.
They could have put ads into their podcast
Exactly.
early on.
And with that, if they would have just signed up for that, they could have pretty much come in and done their podcast every week like they wanted to, throw the ads in there, make that money, and that would have been a pretty easy way to make some money, right?
Yeah,
but
a
instead,
sustainable amount
they were
of money.
out there pounding the pavement. Not only were they coming in every week to do the podcast and like coming up with that content and doing that creatively, but they were out there doing the shit that isn't fun.
Right.
Like going and taking these meetings with all these people and saying no and getting and being told no all the time.
Over and over and over
so
again. Not only getting told no, but also saying no to other people too.
Right. And that's what I was going to say when you talk about people will make you feel stupid, like other podcasts and people in that same realm. Why aren't you doing sponsorships like you're stupid, blah, blah, blah. And you then go back amongst you and your partners, and you have many moments where you are like,
questioning everything.
are we being stupid? Are we missing the boat? Are we peaking right now and still doing everything for free, and all of a sudden we're going to plateau? And this is and we missed our point to take action.
Right.
And you're constantly worried about that.
Yeah.
It's
because it
scary.
is a very real thing.
Right. But in the meantime, they kept growing, and they did little things like going on tour and doing things to keep everything fresh and still grow their fan base. But I mean, it's just, to me, I was happy. I was happy to hear that worked for them, because I've always been a fan of that structure of find a way to hustle, do the thing you want to do for free and build it. I've always been a fan of that structure.
Right.
As long as you can, do it for free and build it and focus on growth.
Yes.
Like Rory, for example, who's there's 3 guys in the podcast, for those that don't know. It's Joe Budden, Maul, and Rory. And like Rory had other jobs. I think he started off on unemployment. He like recently had another job, and he finally just quit when they got their deal. But it's like, you look at, like, the general public would look at someone like him and say, you have this big, basically radio show. It's a podcast, but it's, it's the new age we live in.
Yep.
You're this big personality. So many people know you. So many people tune in to listen to you and you're out going and working another job.
Yep. And I'm sure he was taking a lot of shit for 3.5 years on whatever the hell he was doing. Not only doubting himself, but doubting, are his partners taking advantage of him? Is his
I'm sure
management
Maul and
taking
Rory
advantage
had
of
many
him?
moments where they were wondering about Budden and
just even what we go through on a way smaller scale. Like, it just happens. Like, you literally have to, like, just as a creative, you every day you have to take a step back and you have to just say, this is worth it. I know where I'm going with this. Not many people can understand it.
And not even necessarily, I know what you mean, but not even necessarily I know where I'm going with this, but I know I'm doing the right things, and there is a...
Yeah, you don't know the end point, because there's a difference between I know where I'm going with this and I know where it's going to end up.
Here's kind of, and correct me if you think differently, but I kind of feel like in these realms, like doing music, doing podcasts, kind of a creative content type of realm, the biggest thing to try to keep your finger on is, are you growing a fan base, and is that fan base connecting with you?
Yeah.
If you have a loyal, good-sized fan base and it's growing,
right,
you have something.
Yeah.
That will always be something you can take to people and try to cash in.
Yeah.
As soon as you don't have that and you're focused too much on the business end before you have that,
right,
or you lose that because you did some other business shit,
right,
then you start to lose everything you have.
Right. I mean, the analogy that I like to use is when you first start out doing all this stuff, like it's almost like, okay, you're going on a trip. And let's just say before all this fancy technology or anything, you have a compass and you know what way is north. But you don't know when you start going north what you're going to end up reaching. You just know that you want to go north. That's it. So as long as you stay at the direction that you want to go, you know that you're always going.
And you don't know
in the
how
right
long it's going to get.
You don't know how long it's going to take.
You could be walking for
you don't
4
know.
years, or you
all
could be
you
walking
know
for
is
3
the
days.
direction.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yep.
All you know is the direction. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
When I say you know that you're going the right way.
Yep.
That's all I'm talking about. You don't know where you're going.
And that's why when you sit down and you come up with a plan, right, as any type of creative, there's so much to be said for the stick-to-itiveness, that type of attitude, because you put all the brain power into coming up with that plan.
Right.
So then when you go execute it, you can't just give up at low points.
No.
Now, obviously, there are certain things where you can tell a plan is not going to work and you don't want to be stupid and stick to it.
Yes.
But it takes patience. You hear so many stories about whether it be actors, artists, and that whole realm about how it was just work. Like, I didn't know when I was going to get that break, but I just kept going. I just kept going.
Yep.
I just kept going.
Yep.
And then something breaks and you have to feel that, but it doesn't happen by just sitting there.
No, it doesn't. You have to go above and beyond.
But you hear so many people on the other hand, so many people that give up. Oh, I'm going to do this.
Or think that they deserve more.
Right. I'm going to do this, and you do it for a couple weeks or a month. Like, we know artists ourselves, like, who, I got all these big plans, and they do something and they roll it out, and then where is it?
Yeah.
A month later.
Well, and another thing too, if you even take a step back and you realize, okay, this is Joe Budden we're talking about. It's not like he's a nobody. Like, he started making music. Like, people know who Joe Budden is even before the Joe Budden podcast. This isn't like a new thing.
Right.
So the fact that you can even sit here and be like, it took Joe Budden over 3 years. Joe Budden.
Right.
It took Joe Budden starting a podcast for over 3 years in order to make any sort of money off of it.
How long will it take Joe Schmo to...
Exactly.
And Joe Budden started, like, people don't realize he was actually one of the first people to get into, like, the YouTube internet age of rappers.
Right.
And then I'm glad you brought that up, because sometimes it's so hard to relate, like, when we talk to people about, oh, what was your break to, like, how did you... And if I had to say something, it would always be, like, The Crew and Nobody Epic. But a good analogy to that is with Joe Budden and their podcast, right? I don't know exactly how many episodes, but it was probably somewhere around 100 that they did, which would have been almost 2 years worth of episodes, until Joe Budden linked up with Complex and started doing Everyday Struggle.
Right.
In addition to their podcast. And I would say that period of time was the massive break for them.
That's what got the huge eyes on
Right.
him.
Now, did he do something specifically? Was it all from day one built to, like, hit that point? No. He just did his podcast every week. And I bet if he didn't have that podcast, the thing with Complex, the Everyday Struggle, never would have happened.
No.
And it went from there. But that's what we talk about when we give this advice and say these things about nose to the grindstone, keep going, stick to the plan, and good things will happen. Do the right things and other good things will happen is situations like that.
Right.
And look where it's led to.
And don't ever think that you deserve something just because the other point I was about to make, like, it's Joe Budden. He could have easily have been, after like a year and a half, been frustrated with where he was and been like, I am Joe Budden and nobody wants to fucking like get this like, no, it's not the way that it fucking works. I'm Joe Budden. I've been in the music industry for 7+ years or whatever the fuck he's been in the music industry for. Why doesn't anyone pay attention to my podcast?
Yes.
I deserve more.
Not only could he have quit, but he could have done what a lot of people do, and he could have taken 3 months off, like basically said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I got to take some time and figure out what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Even though I would say, keep doing what you're doing and figure it out in the meantime.
Because I'm sure he did that.
Right.
But he was still creating shit.
Right. But he could have done that. And then, you know what happens when you decide after that 3 months, you know what, that podcast was okay. Let's get back to that grind. Well, you lost so much steam.
Oh yeah, you're done.
And people fall into that trap, including like I always say this. It's not like we haven't done these things, but it's just cool to see someone succeed at that structure and tactic that you and I preach and talk about all the time.
But it's a very like solid thing that you can actually look back on and see solid proof for. Here is podcast 1 of the Joe Budden podcast that was published almost 4 years ago.
Right.
Like that, and no one can say differently because the proof is there.
Yeah. And look, like, talk about adapting. Like,
it's different. It's different when a music artist is like, I've been working on this for 7 years. Like, so a lot of times you can't go look back and be like, okay, this is the solid outcome. Like, episode 1 of a podcast to episode 175.
Yeah.
Never deviating from like what it was to what it is now.
Right.
Like that's a rare thing to be able to look back on and actually see how it grew.
And you look at Rolling with the Punches. I know they mentioned when they started, they thought it was necessary, like crucial to have a female on the cast.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many episodes in, a fair amount in, they had to part ways with they fired basically their female co-host.
Yeah.
This is before Maul was part of it.
Yeah.
And that was a tough time for them, and they didn't know what they were going to do, and they randomly brought Maul on as a guest.
Yep.
And long story short, he turned into a call and super successful. Was the best thing they could have ever done. But at the time, it seemed like everything was falling apart.
Yeah, they were stressing. They thought that they made the wrong move, or some of them did, some of them didn't. Like it all just
keep going. Things have a way of working themselves out. If you keep trying to do the right things and keep going and stay consistent, things work themselves out way more often than they don't.
And you stay the course. Like that's the bottom line, is like there's certain things that are going to happen within that course that are going to make you doubt, feel like you're doing it wrong, whatever. But as long as you trust the vision and trust what you want to do, what you feel is right for the vision, most of the time that is going to be the right choice.
Well, and it's easy. I just thought it was cool too, because I even fall into, I know they have a big fan base. I'm a listener. I know Joe Budden's a rapper. He's made a lot of money off his music. He had a hit single back in the day, and you know he gets checks from that.
Right.
But when you're a fan of something like that has a big fan base, you do lose sight of the fact that these guys are human and money doesn't grow on trees. And they're out here doing this podcast every week for free. I don't know, Maul and Rory. Rory was literally on unemployment and doing this podcast. I don't know what Maul's situation was, but you forget about the fact that they were actually trying to do this to make a living.
Right.
You just kind of assume Joe Budden rapper, like there's money and they'll figure, but it's not like that.
No, it's not at all.
Even Joe Budden himself was trying to find what that next thing was going to be. He's done rapping. He's been done rapping. He was trying to find what that next thing is going to be. And if they don't cash in the right way, then it's gone.
Right. And it's even so like it's eye-opening to, the life of an older rapper, a retired rapper, technically. Like, Joe Budden's still getting royalty checks and everything like that, but it's not a lot.
Right.
And it's not like it's
not going to
like,
support his lifestyle.
No. But that's the thing is I feel like there's just this absurd misunderstanding of like a rapper like Joe Budden, what's his everyday life look like? Like before the podcast.
Right. Well, and it was
he
cool.
retires before the podcast got popular, I guess I should say is
right.
What was his life like then.
Right.
If you ask him, he was fucking broke.
Right.
Like he was trying to figure out.
And he was
what
even talking about the last project he did and going on that tour. And he was like, the tour was terrible. It was depressing.
Yeah.
Doing these little clubs and only having X amount of people come out, and like that's tough.
No, I know.
But it's just cool to see someone stick to the plan. And before I got into their podcast, I wasn't the biggest Joe Budden fan.
No, I wasn't. Either.
So I'm not just coming from a perspective of someone that's like, oh, Joe Budden, everything. Like, he had to win me over.
Yeah. And I still wouldn't say like I'm a real big Joe Budden fan. I actually just like the dynamic of all of them on the podcast. Yeah. Like it's really,
I agree.
It's just entertaining to watch,
I
because
agree.
they all do like just fit
they
together
bring something
like
different.
super well.
Yeah.
And that's entertaining to listen to and watch. But I do respect Joe Budden more than I probably did, just because of the way that he tells it like it is. Well, he's not afraid to like say.
He tells it like it is, and you get to hear reasoning on a podcast rather than just seeing the headline of Joe Budden, whatever. And that's part of the reason, like I said, that inspired me to even, because I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I was very hesitant to do a podcast because I am a music artist and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. And it's weird for me to talk about to give advice to artists and talk about people's albums and things like that when I do it myself, and I know I'm not perfect in any way, and I'm not the fucking illest of all time and have all these accolades to show for it by any means. So it was weird for me to do that. But one of the reasons I liked it is because I can, in as many words as I want to, explain myself.
Right.
And I feel like as long as I am putting a full opinion out there, people can disagree and not like it as much as they want. I can at least stand by it. What I hate is if I say something like I tweet 140 characters and people can take it all types of out of context. If you hear what I explain on my podcast and disagree and whatever, fine.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Right. Well, and that's why I like podcasts in general is just, and I do feel like this day and age more so than any other time in history, it's kind of been the trend to really dig deep into some of these topics that like the music industry. Like, who the fuck knew how the music industry worked in the 70s? Like, no one fucking knows. Like, it was just this enigma to most people that was just like, ooh, these cool guys get up and sing and they make shit tons of money and get to perform in front of millions of people. Like that was just it. That's how 85% of Americans thought the music industry worked.
Yeah.
Now you get all these podcasts and these articles and people that have actually been in the industry candidly talking to other people about the inner workings of all this shit. Like, dude, I do feel like today a lot of people are becoming awake, way more awake than ever to the stuff that you're sold on like articles and like magazines.
I mean, one of the basic things is you just get insight into all these people that top the charts and you hear their names all the time. There's many independent artists that do things right that are making more money than the people you hear of all the time because they're doing things differently. Now, if you didn't delve in and do any type of research or listen to any podcasts or hear anybody talk about some of these things, and you're just a super casual fan, you just naturally like I was when I was a kid, just assume this person's all over the radio and the charts. And that's the order of the money. That the top people on the charts are the biggest money makers, and there's just so much more to it than that. Yeah, well, and that's just talking about money and whatever. There's lots more too.
Well, yeah, but it's all like the facades of like what has been for like 30 plus years of American culture, and the bottom line is like even Joe Budden. This is why I respect him even more, is just because he even talks about his old self versus his new self, and being like, hey, I thought I was living the life and everything like that when I was this rapper with the #1 hit and everything like that, and got to rock shows and get with girls and all this shit. But in reality, now I'm 40 years old and I'm like, I wasn't doing anything. Like, it was literally all just nothing.
Well, he even said, and I've never thought of it this way. I know what he's talking about, and I had my head wrapped around it, but never said it like this. He's like, every project I basically made enough money to go try it again.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It was never like that was the big come up and I'm set. It was like, okay, I made enough money to go try and do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a bad way.
No,
to
that's
live.
a terrible way.
That's basically like the equivalent of living check to check, but in the meantime, you get to live it up a little more.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, it's all that type of stuff, and it is like, it's crazy to me. Like this day and age, you just can figure out so much about different things behind.
But yeah,
the scenes.
that was just. I'm glad you heard that too, because that super cool, super inspiring to me to be able to like relate to that on a lot of levels as far as a mission goes. Not that I like they've cashed in and they got super successful. We're nowhere close to that, but to be able to relate to that on many levels with the mission and seeing the steps, it's because we preach that type of thing to our artists.
Yeah, and we say it a lot on this podcast.
And even in the meantime, while we are, like you made the analogy, while we are just going north. So we can't tell our artists, okay, on this date at this time, and you do exactly these things, you're going to get there. All we can say is go north,
right?
And it will work.
Right.
So being able to see other people do that and have success it gives you some affirmation.
And let's just be real here too. Like my last point I wanted to make is, Joe Budden, without YouTube and SoundCloud, that podcast is nothing.
Yeah.
So he utilizes a platform, which he realizes that he literally just put out his shit on there for free.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not going at YouTube for being like, wow, like, where's my bag after a year? I'm making your platform decently popular. Where's my bag? Or SoundCloud, I'm getting all these plays on your platform. You need to pay me. No, he realizes it's a tool to build, to build his brand. Like, that's why I just see, like, with that point that I just made, with the 175 episodes, the 3+ years of making shit, and knowing that this is Joe Budden we're talking about and not some Joe Schmo, a lot of creatives need to take a step back and realize, why do you guys expect to have all of this shit after 2 years of doing what you're doing?
If that, like, people try it for a couple of months, and you have to be real with yourself and look yourself in the mirror and also say, am I actually doing it? Not just, oh, I've been an artist for X amount of time, or I've been an actor for X amount of time. What have you actually been doing? Show me your resume in that period of time.
But just assuming that you are, like, what is the rush, dude?
Assuming you are doing it like that. And that's why, honestly, so few people make it, is because to have those two things come together, to actually put in the work, actually be able to look at your resume each year and say, wow, I did a ton of stuff. I'm not even saying that stuff had to be super successful. Like, if you toured all year and you brought out 10 people to each show, I'm cool with that. I'm not talking about the actual numbers. If you put out a song a week and each one got 10 plays, I'm not talking about the numbers. I'm talking about, did you do the work?
Yep.
So if you put out the song a week or you went to these shows, cool.
Right.
So that coming together along with the staying the course for years and years and years. And it might take 1 year for one person and it might take 10 years for another person.
It just depends on what the path gives you. Like the Joe Budden everyday struggle thing. If Joe Budden didn't start his podcast, he would have never been on Everyday Struggle.
If Joe Budden didn't get on Everyday Struggle, it might have taken them 2 more years for something good to happen.
Correct. Yeah.
Like,
it's either way,
but you just have to keep going.
But that's the thing. That's what a lot of people don't understand is Joe Budden starts a podcast for, like, let's say 3 months. And then he's like, this isn't doing anything. I'm done. None of this other shit happens.
Yeah.
None of it.
No, I know. It's cool to see. So I'm glad you got up on that so we could talk about that, because I think that's something we started our podcast really talking about, with like come ups like that and how to do that. And I just think that's a really, really cool story. And I'm excited to see where it goes from here, because that's a pretty big platform to partner with. Spotify.
No, it is. I just get excited because a lot of people listen to that, and it's just like, this is a way for me to be like, this is exactly what I keep saying to everybody, and you can see it.
Yeah.
Like, even the people that, didn't even realize, like, Joe Budden has been doing this for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, the people that just got, it's not some brand new thing that just all of a sudden Joe Budden wanted to start a podcast, and this is what it is.
But dude, that's why I, even as an artist who's been doing music for, a long time now, I still know, and I try to even, tell our artists this, and people, other artists in my similar situation, there's no reason I couldn't go sign some big deal with a major label tomorrow, and I am a brand new artist, and millions of people, whatever, know about me, and I'm new, even though I know, and my people that have followed me know, I've been doing this shit for a long time.
Right. Yeah.
But that's just how it works. That's why you get artists that have quote unquote debut albums, blah, 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 but they've really put in so much groundwork behind the scenes, but people think, wow, overnight success, but there's so much that they just never knew about.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. Like,
very cool though.
yeah,
I don't know, I hit the wrong button. It was supposed to be.
I wish I can remember the stat because I just heard it the other day, but I'm just gonna give an overview of it because it was crazy to me, and it's crazy to even think about how media is going today. Is like where people get their news now, and it's like and how like even how we just learn about things is starting to change. It was something, and I'm pissed because I can't remember whether this was like per month or per year or what the hell it was. But CNN had 1 million viewers per month, year. I can't remember what it was. Something. The Joe Rogan Experience had
Oh, you said month, year. So you really
I'm not
don't know.
sure.
I was going to say, I know it's more than that.
I know what the statistic is, but I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the end was. The Joe Rogan Experience, 4 million
in the same time period.
in the same time period,
Crazy.
which is insane.
Yeah.
Like that is insane.
That is a good example of, you know how I said you see people on the top of the music charts and you assume they have it all, when there's a lot of people that you've never heard of that are actually doing it right and have more.
Yep.
That's the age we live in now. It can be related to things like that. Like TV is such a established thing, and you just assume TV is it.
Yep.
Like a major news
Especially,
station.
I feel like the older you are, the more like you are.
A major
if
news
somebody is
station
on
like
TV,
that.
they're legitimate.
Yeah.
Like that's what.
But no, it doesn't necessarily mean that.
No, I think we're slowly starting to get our eyes open to that. It might even mean the opposite. Like,
yeah. Right. I know.
So
yeah, you got to keep evolving and keep. That's the thing with the creative landscape and getting into that territory is you have to keep evolving and thinking the next step ahead. You can't just say we have something here and we're going to stick to this.
Right. Exactly.
You got to keep evolving. So I mean, not to get off on a tangent, but it just reminds me of even when I started doing these Inkblot singles. Like I like making albums. I blah blah blah, and I will make albums going forward, but we had to sit down and say, where is the landscape of music going with streaming and all these things? And we determined that doing singles is the way to go. And so far, we've been right. Now, does that mean we won't wake up tomorrow and be like, let's do something different? No, because that's just how it goes. That's how the music shit goes. But, all right, let's start the podcast over because we just jumped right into that.
Well, I don't think we need to start it over.
Why don't you intro? What episode are we on?
I already did intro.
What are you up to this weekend?
We're on episode 129. And well, I'm up to these next couple of weeks.
Did you say 129? Because we're only on 29.
Or 29, sorry. I got to prepare for the upcoming fantasy drafts.
I have a fantasy football draft tomorrow. I'm actually headed up north tonight after we finish this podcast.
Oh, that's what you had going tonight. Here's Packy's priorities. Fantasy football, the Specktators Collective. Yeah. No, wait. His girlfriend, then the Specktators Collective.
I'm going to fantasy camp.
See, my priorities are the Specktators Collective.
Oh, is that why I've been waiting on you to mix a song for a month?
I did. It's not my fault. Your computer
you finally did, and you said, "Hey, it's in your drive. Go check it out. We might have to get together and get the levels right." And I go to check it out, and nothing's.
I got a lot going on.
And you respond, weird.
I got a lot going on.
You don't got shit going on. Mm-hmm. Your priorities are golf.
No.
Other job, the Specktators.
I do have to admit, for 3 months, I got to get out and golf as much as I can.
Yeah. Oh, we know.
I'll be a hermit when the winter strikes.
Maybe I'll come back and report my fantasy squad. That I got the auction draft tomorrow.
All right, so who are you? Oh, okay. I don't care about your fantasy squad. Who are your Like overall, because I know that you're probably aren't all your leagues PPR leagues.
Oh yeah, PPR is the only way to go.
We're only discussing PPR
At this point. If you're not at least in a half PPR league, you're
trash.
retarded.
You're trash. Trash. All right. Who are your top fives that you're gonna pick that are in your cheat sheet that are like, I'm gonna go down this list?
Dude, I don't know
if you had to set the auto draft
because P Funk is in the league and he listens to the podcast religiously.
Yeah, but you're drafting tonight, so it's not
tomorrow.
Oh,
but he won't hear it by then.
Yeah, you're all good.
All right, my top five. And I have the number 1 pick in our other league, so I don't have to worry about that because I can get whoever.
Did you do the randomization for that one too? I think you fuck everybody over by doing.
I don't want the number 1 pick in a.
You've gotten it what, like 3 years in a row in our other league?
2. And
Bullshit.
last year I took David Johnson and he got hurt the first game, and this year I don't even want it. I've been trying to trade down with people, but anyways, my top 5.
Why would you trade down? I don't understand.
Because I like being in the middle of the draft. Because that way, if anyone I like slips at all, I can pretty much get anyone I want. Whereas if you're at we have a 10-team league, snake draft, I'm picking first. There's a whole batch of guys each time that I'll never be able to touch.
Yeah, that's true. I can see that.
I don't like that. So that's the reason. But top 5.
Didn't somebody offer you to trade down and you said no?
No. I tried to trade down with Randall to get the number 3 spot. He declined. I tried to trade with you. What do you got, 6?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's a clear.
I think I was 6 last year, and I think it worked out for me pretty well.
There's obviously a clear top 2. Then I think you could make the argument that there's a top 3 or 4. To me, there's 4.
All right,
there's 4 big hosses.
Who's your number 1?
My number 1. It's a toss-up between Le'Veon and Gurley. I don't know who I'm going to take yet.
I'm taking Gurley.
You had him last year, and he was like, beast.
Mm-hmm. That's my number 1.
But Le'Veon and Gurley are both right there.
Le'Veon's my number 2.
David Johnson and Zeke are 3 and 4.
Disagree.
Zeke,
I don't agree with.
Oh, you like David Johnson, but not Zeke?
Right.
I like David Johnson more than Zeke. But
I don't.
You just said you.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I like David Johnson.
Are you just here to disagree?
No. David Johnson would be my 3rd.
Yeah, same here.
I like Antonio Brown better than I do Zeke.
That's fair. That's fair. But I think those are the clear top 5.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And then I think you start to get like more frisky when you get like Saquon Barkley, who could be a beast, but since he's a rookie, you just have no idea. But the workload should be there.
Yeah.
And then you got like Odell, Julio, DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
Like if you want to go the receiver route, those are studs. But
right.
I think you got a clear top 5. And then
that's why I only wanted to go into the top 5 because
you could get that next level.
I think those are pretty clear anyway to anybody.
Although we have our league is 2 quarterbacks, so I wouldn't be surprised if a stud quarterback goes off early and you could still maybe get one of those guys if you wanted to.
Right. And I guess that's why
if you didn't, then you love taking the quarterback. So if those 5 guys went top 5,
right,
you're going to get first pick at quarterback.
After those top 5 to me, it pretty much is what type of league that you're pretty much in and like what are the positions available and everything depending on what you want to pick.
Yeah.
That's what I think it depends on, but
I've got some sleepers that I like, but I won't get into that until we have our drafts.
Yeah, I'm not getting too far into it because I know that other people listen to this too.
So apparently our podcast isn't going to people's sub boxes on YouTube.
Yeah, the last one.
The last one didn't go to
everybody told me that it didn't go into their sub box.
I saw that too.
Which would explain why it's got such low views. But
I don't understand, dude.
Dude, YouTube it's getting real fucked up. It's getting real fucked up.
I'm going to be pissed if this one does the same thing. Like if it was just a blip on the radar or whatever, like we'll deal with it. Last podcast sucked anyway. No,
yeah,
I'm kidding.
we'll see if this one is if it's becoming a problem or not. And SoundCloud is fucking pissing me the fuck off.
Oh yeah. What's going on with that?
I don't know.
So many people are hitting us up and saying that.
Well, because it is a thing.
Yeah, I know. A ton of our songs are just not available on SoundCloud.
And it literally just happened
few
like
weeks
at
ago.
the same time.
Yeah.
Like all of them just.
At first, I thought it was just like a specific country. Then I thought maybe it was just international. Now it's like just everything, and it's a bunch of our songs.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
What's going
and
on.
SoundCloud is not an easy company to get a hold of and get help with.
Their
so
support really fucking sucks.
just
Especially
know that
when it comes to that kind of stuff.
know that we're aware of it, and I appreciate you guys for giving us the heads up. We always, by the way, like, even if we don't respond, when there's a problem, bring it to our attention, because we do notice if a bunch of people are having the same issue.
Right.
If it's just one person, we kind of assume there's just something going on with your phone or your system or whatever. But if we get a bunch of them, then we know, okay, there's a legit problem.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Because we log on and we can play everything.
Right.
But it's obviously an issue with a bunch of you guys, so it's a SoundCloud issue.
Well, once we log out, then it becomes the issue.
But we would have never known to try
No,
that if you guys wouldn't have brought it to our attention.
No. So yeah, anytime that issue comes up, yeah, for sure. But that's the thing. I saw one person brought it to my attention first, and I just figured it was they didn't update their app or whatever.
Right.
And then tons of them started coming in, and I figured I'd check it out. But yeah, it's probably going to take a long time for us to figure it out, because SoundCloud is the absolute worst for that type of shit. And honestly, I fucking hate SoundCloud to begin with. So just bear with me.
So did you hear about Tiger versus Phil?
Heard it. Heard it. Love it.
Love it.
Want some more of it.
Las Vegas, Shadow Creek, Friday after Thanksgiving, pay-per-view. I will be purchasing. It's Black Friday. So obviously,
you could probably get it for free somehow.
Obviously, Tiger has the advantage on Black Friday. They'll be mic'd up, which I like. Tiger better be back to his old ways with the cursing. Phil's always got that cheesy smile on his face, and you know there's some nasty thoughts going on up there. I want to hear it all. Apparently, they're going to be doing live betting too as it goes, like on just different holes. Like they'll just be like, I don't know, longest drive here, closest to the pin here, just between the two of them.
That's sweet.
There's a $9 million purse, which I was like,
damn.
I thought it was cool because Phil even said, he goes, I'll read the exact quote. It's a ridiculous amount of money. No matter how much money you have, this amount will take both of us out of our comfort zone. I think that's dope because that's kind of real. You automatically assume whatever they're playing for, this is just going to be some fun event, like it's Tiger versus Phil. But $9 million. Yeah,
isn't it like a PGA Tour event, like a major only like 2 or 3?
Yeah, like the whole purse at a major is like $9 million, is like $10 million.
Yeah. I'm saying like first place.
I know.
Though.
That's what I'm saying. That's like a legit amount of money. They're going to be trying to win that. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Which is dope because you initially think of that as just a spectacle, but they're actually going to be trying to win that shit. Like I looked up, they've both made about $40 million this year each.
Oh, just $40 million.
But $9 million. That's a good chunk of change for both of them. Yeah, straight up. The only thing that could ruin it is if, and it wouldn't necessarily ruin it, but it would put a damper on it, is if one of them blew the other one out. Because it's match play, so it could be over after 14 holes if somebody blows the other one out. But I like that it's match play because
with pros, though, I don't really see that happen.
I mean, you just never know who's going to be on their game, whatever. But they're both pretty similar level right now in their career. And match play is cool because they'll be more aggressive.
Right.
You know, you don't have to worry about having that blow up hole to take you out of the match because all you do is lose that hole and bounce back.
Right.
But I'm psyched about that. I think that's going to be dope.
Yeah, that'll be sweet. That'll be super sweet. We should get people over here for that.
It's cool that golf has developed into such, and obviously so much of it has to do with Tiger Woods. So we'll see what it is when he's done. But I think it's in such a good place right now. The fact that you can do a pay-per-view golf event,
dude, that the purse is like that big says a lot.
It's pretty
for those two golfers.
I think
specifically.
They said they're going to try to keep the actual live crowd pretty small too, like 200 people on the course.
Wow,
I wonder how much tickets will be to that. Insane.
Probably impossible to get.
Right. But if it's a pay-per-view event, it'd probably be, even though that would be cool to say you went, and it'd probably be pretty cool to be there with such a small gallery. It also kind of sucked to not get the mic'd up experience and everything either.
That's true. So is this the first pay-per-view event, like PGA wise?
Probably. I know Tiger and Phil played before and there was some weird,
but I don't think that was
cool
pay-per-view.
But I don't think it was pay-per-view.
Because I remember that. Wasn't that Under the Lights or something like that?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. No, I'm psyched for that. That's going to be dope. So we got that around like Thanksgiving weekend. We got the Ryder Cup at the end of September.
They better have
the FedEx Cup going on right now.
They better have the shot tracker on all shots.
For real.
For that Tiger Phil shit. And I better know exactly how far every ball goes.
I'm about to tweet at Phil right now and let him know. Phil just got a Twitter.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he posted something this morning. Look at this. 2 hours ago. Good morning at Twitter. Headed to the gym for a light workout before the opening round. Can't wait to start with this picture. It's just him like just looking into the camera in the most just like basic look you could ever have.
Wow. Have you seen that Phil commercial? I think it's like advertising some shirt brand or something like that, and he's
probably those damn button-up shirts he wears on the golf course that piss me off. He needs to stop doing that.
He's like dodging golf balls though.
Oh no, I haven't seen it.
He looks so freaking goofy.
He's so goofy, dude. He's always got that goofy smile.
Dude, I want to find it. What the fuck? Oh, I think it's this. It's only
wow.
Oh my god.
He probably made $9 million just for doing that.
How old is Phil? Like 49 or something?
Yeah, something like that. So I think by that commercial,
watching the Phil commercial,
they're trying to prove that you can still move in those shirts. I still don't believe it. Don't swing a golf club in button-up shirts. Get out of here.
Yeah, that was the most awkward commercial ever. Phil's such a goofy dude, though.
That shit was funny, though.
Yeah, it's a very Philly commercial. Okay. How long has this podcast been so far?
I don't know. Have you seen the Logic music video?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It's the one that's because didn't he come out with
I'm talking about the
his
one
newest
one.
one? Yeah,
his new single.
Yeah, I saw it. I mean, I don't know, dude. It's fine. It's just
I thought it was really well done. Like it was, I mean, pretty cinematic.
I thought it was well done.
You can tell he's got a lot of the labels fully behind his ass.
Oh yeah, well, duh, they have been for a while.
I know, but like that was quite a music video.
Well, yeah, the budget on that was huge. And I mean, it's fine, dude. I don't know, man. I'm like, the thing is, every time I watched it all the way through, and I thought it was really well done and whatever. But I don't know what else I'm supposed to say to that other than,
well, it's just a music video. You don't have to do a deep dive on
no, it's not a deep dive. I'm literally just being like, I'm getting so sick of the same topics over and over and over again.
Logic might be becoming what I thought Macklemore was at the beginning. Everything is calculated to go viral in our society, and everything with backing has to have a message and fit our social climate. I've said this on the podcast before, so this is just my opinion when it comes to music. I know a lot of people are different from me, but I'm not getting in my car or putting on my headphones or at a party and listening to songs about social justice.
Yeah. He wants to be the topic
now, when I see
the week.
When I see
that's what he wants to be.
Yes. When I see the number of listens these songs get, like, maybe I'm in the minority. I don't know. So I can see why they do it. It's just not my thing. And Logic can rap, and I appreciate the fact that he still does his best to make sure he reminds us that he can rap, with his Bobby Tarantino mixtapes and so on. And I've always said he has plenty of material and showcases that, but it's weird to me as a long time Logic fan to see him become pigeonholed into this social justice warrior rapper. Now it's early on, maybe he won't be. It's basically two main songs that I'm talking about, and I'm not talking about if you're a diehard Logic fan who knows his whole catalog, I'm not I'm not talking to you guys as far as pigeonholing him. Like to you, these are just a couple songs. But when by far his biggest hits to this date are these songs.
Yeah.
Like by far.
Yeah.
For a few years straight now. And he's at award shows for a few years straight performing these songs and doing big music videos for these songs. That's what the majority of listeners will and probably already do know him for.
And dude, if that's what he wants to be, that's what he wants to be. The bottom line is, to me, and the reason why I don't even really feel like talking about these things is because I don't even want to get into like the political side of anything, just because it doesn't interest me. Like,
no, that's
at all.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying though. That's what I'm saying is you do,
and I don't even want to feed into it. Honestly,
cool. I think doing music videos like that are okay because it's an interesting watch and it was done well. So I would like. I'm not specifically talking about a music video necessarily because that's better than standing up there and rapping into a camera. So
yeah, okay.
I'm not talking about the music videos specifically. I'm talking about the overall branding.
Yeah. No, I know.
Of a song and the overall message of a song. It's all positive, so I'm not shitting on it, but I don't want to listen to political music.
Yeah.
That's just not me. I like to have fun. I like my music fun. And when it's not fun, I like my music introspective and then relatable. I don't like when you reverse engineer and take a societal, relatable, hot button topic and make songs about it knowing that this shit's going to go viral. Talk about your life, be introspective, and let me relate to it.
Right. Well, and I guess that's the reason why I don't even like when my music crosses over to this kind of stuff is there's so many. I mean, a lot of these topics are super hot button topics, like in today's political like climate or whatever. I don't like. It's not only music. I don't like having to look at these like engineered ways of manipulating certain political conversations to get people fired up on a certain specific topic, because he's taking a side on some of these things.
That's the side
which is
he
fine,
believes in,
right? And that's fine, but
that's his art.
That's the thing, though, is like when you're even saying it's fine because it's positive.
No,
okay, to who?
I'm not even saying it's fine because it's positive. I'm saying it's fine because it's his opinion. And it's his art, it's his music, and that's his way of portraying.
Right, but I guess that's the thing is too many people take this for like gospel, and so that's why I like to stay away from it, because it is media. Like he's media at this point. It is his opinion, and I understand that. But there's too many people that are latching onto this type of stuff, and really, because he's giving you a visual as of right now, and it's his own thing. This isn't based on some story or some like whatever. It's literally just an anecdotal thing that he cooked up in his head to.
Yeah, it's his art.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's firing up people. Like it's putting more fire into the conversation on one side.
Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that.
No. There's nothing wrong with that. All that I'm saying is I'd rather not. Like
I'd rather not in my music. Like when I'm consuming music. And
yeah,
that's just where I'm coming from. That's what I keep saying. I don't give a fuck about any of this stuff in my. And it sucks because I will say there was a certain point for me where, and maybe I was just naive to it at the time. I'm not sure, but I think it's just changed where. Music did used to be kind of what I described. It was fun, or it was like introspective, and then you related to your favorite artist. That you were never just, not never, because there were always the pop artists like doing the scientific searching for a hit type thing. But it was not nearly as prevalent and all consuming as it is now.
Because the political wasn't as consuming as it is.
Right,
now.
but that's what I mean. Where I don't want to act like there's no place for that in music. In my music, but like if I were to watch an award show 15 years ago, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, because I don't know. I was young then. I don't remember for sure. But if it seems like maybe once in a while, there might have been like a kind of political show, performance, or whatever, kind of taking a stand, and it might stand out. And it would actually mean something then. It would make you think like blah, blah. Now it feels like there's at least one, if not multiple, at every single award show.
Right.
It's like it has to be there.
Yeah.
We have to find it.
Because
it's like, no, you don't. Perform music like give me a hit like started from the bottom.
Yeah.
Get the
but that's the thing is
it's not
because you're older. It's literally because that's what the trend has been.
Yeah, I know.
For a long
That's
time.
definitely what it feels like for me.
Like, it has nothing to do with like, oh, now I'm paying more attention to the news. No, it's because that's literally what's on media outlets all the time now.
Yeah.
Can you turn on the TV without hearing about Trump?
Yeah.
Like, that's not how it used to be. How many times could you turn on the TV and not hear about George Bush?
Right. It's annoying, man, because it's like, on one hand, I'm like,
or Obama.
On one hand, I'm like, if you believe that strongly in everything you stand for, like, I'm not going to tell you don't utilize your platform to speak on it, because you should if you believe that strongly in things. But so often it just seems disingenuous, and it is to be viral, and it is the it thing to do now, and it is like it just I don't know.
But that's why, without getting into this huge political topic, it's a way bigger thing than just Logic makes too political of music sometimes. Because I honestly think it's bigger than music. I think it's a problem. Like, I think it's a bigger problem than what we want to give credit to. Like, it's more than just stemming from music.
Well, I think if you really wanted to get into it, which I don't right now, but I think the reason it's a problem, or more of a problem, if you want to say that, is because we as a society give more importance to celebrities' opinions. So it's not even talking about artists, it's talking about athletes, artists, actors, actresses. They say something and we take and it means more than someone else saying something. And they might have absolutely no education on the topic.
Right. But you take it a step further too, and
we're getting off track because I'm not, like, I started talking about Logic. I'm not even talking about his video and his whatever. Like, to me, I just want, it was interesting. The Logic thing to me was interesting because I, as a Logic fan, knew Logic as he was coming up to be a dope rapper, and I knew him for a specific style and type of music and what blah blah blah. And now, like, I see such a big audience, and it's awesome to me that he's gotten as big as he has. It is.
Yeah.
It's just weird for me to see him be this social justice rapper when I didn't associate that with him as his company. Like, and so many people associate him with that now. It's just weird. So I'm not, as far as what we're talking about now, I'm not even necessarily talking about Logic or anything specific.
No,
I'm talking in general.
I think it's just a trend. Like, it's a trend in music, and like like you said, it's a trend in everything now too, art wise, like anything that you see, movies,
right,
art, music. Like, that is the trend.
And it sucks because it's just like anything else. Kind of like I said, back in the day, it's not like this shit didn't exist, but it was more sprinkled in and thoughtful and came from the right people because it meant something. Not everyone had to pipe in about it. Right. So now it sucks because everything's watered down now. Everything's oversaturated.
But that's...
Like, if someone stepped up at an award show 15 years ago and said, fuck the president or whatever, like, that would be powerful.
Right.
Now it's the en vogue thing to do. Now it's just like what everyone does, and like...
Yeah, it's because everyone's speaking on their own truth now. It's not necessarily like this thing happened and everyone's angry about it. It's that this group is angry about something, and this group is angry about something else, and this group...
Right.
So it's all about how everybody, all these different groups feel.
Right. And how can we all...
But it's not based on, like...
No, I know.
This person actually did this thing, or the stats back this up, so let's be pissed about it collectively.
Or even just, why do we have to utilize everything as a way to get our points across? Like, why can't something like a music award show...
Right.
Why can't it be for awarding music?
Because everybody's feelings are supposed to matter now.
No, but I'm not even trying to go to there. And trust me, I am not the shut up and dribble person. Like, I think that's the dumbest shit ever.
No, I think that's dumb too.
But the whole idea that you have to, like, we have this night of whatever and we have to use it for political reasons. It's just like, it's becoming an obligation rather than, you know what? I feel really strongly about this and I'm going to do this tonight. It's everybody feeling like this is just this is just what happens now. And it waters it down.
No, I agree.
It makes it not have the impact that it should when...
I 100% agree, but I think the root cause of all of it is literally just... Isn't there technically... There's supposed to be an 100% truth with... There's a truth with things. Mm-hmm. Like, regardless of how, like, let's say, like, I feel like people treat me differently because I have blue eyes. Is that the truth or is that just the way that I feel?
I don't know, but are you
like which one is the truth? Like, because to you that might not be true. If you look at me and you've been my brother for my lifetime, like,
but it could be the truth.
But we don't know, do we?
You know,
I don't know if that's 100% the truth. That's just the way that I feel.
Okay.
That's my point, is before people start judging, before people start like putting out certain things into the universe and everything, there needs to be more thought that goes into everything. Is this actually the truth? Or is this just my gut wrenching thing of, man, I'm really feeling down today about how I was treated because I have blue eyes. This needs to change. I need to make everybody change based on the way that I'm feeling today.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people like that. There's also people with legitimate gripes and reasons for taking.
I'm not saying that there's not, but what I'm saying is in today's age, it's starting to become more of what I just described and less of.
No, I know,
that.
and that's why that's kind of the sentiment that I'm expressing that sucks, because, like you said, oh, you have blue eyes. Like, same thing with it's racism. Like, okay, there are people that get treated in a racist manner. People, yes. Like, there's people that hate black people, yes. and black people have to deal with that.
For sure.
And if they want to take any type of stand against that, I am all for it.
Yes.
Now, there's also people that, like, there's a black person somewhere that got treated a certain way at BK the other day by a white person that had nothing to do with that person hating the color of their skin.
Yes.
That went on Twitter and started talking about this racist whatever. Right. And there's tons of that today.
Yes.
And it's making the real racism
yes.
watered down and oversaturated.
But that's what I mean.
I know. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And it goes with everything. I think I've even talked about it on here before, or maybe I've just talked to you about it with, like, anxiety and depression. A real thing. And people really deal with this stuff and go through it.
Right.
But it is in vogue these days to be depressed.
Right.
And so all those people that are fake depressed or are going through tough times, which literally everybody does.
Yes.
And it's not clinical depression.
Right.
But they want it to be, and they want that sympathy or whatever, are oversaturating that shit and making it hard for people to really give a shit about the people that are actually dealing with the real thing.
Well,
it sucks. Like, it's hard for someone as a third party to observe all this and say, well, these are the people that actually need our attention, and these are the people just trying to get attention.
But that's why I'm saying, without, like, going into the detail that you just did, is literally that is the reason why you see more, is because it is now it's people want it to be more socially acceptable for everybody to have a voice and all of that stuff, regardless of how legitimate it is.
Yeah.
So people are just going to say it because you can.
I know. It's just annoying how, like, I didn't even watch the VMAs the other day because it was just like, I know what I'm going to get now.
Oh,
and it's not going to be music. It's not just going to be my favorite artists and projects getting awards and talking about it.
Right.
It's going to be this big political grandstand or whatever social issue is on the front, like, whatever. And not that any of that is bad. It's just like, and I sound like a bad person saying it, I'm just sick of seeing it everywhere.
But that's why I hate getting into this conversation, is because you do sound like a bad person, because I agree with you. The bottom line is, it's literally, that's why I like the blue eyes, like, comparison is literally because I don't have enough information based on how people treat me to 100% say it's because I have blue eyes all the time that all these people are treating me this way.
Yeah. Well, that brings me into something similar too, of it's not like as deep as that, but if you believe in something, talk about it. If you don't know shit about it, don't feel obligated to speak. Like if you just have a feeling, don't feel like you have to speak about it. Like these award shows make me think about this stuff because everybody wants to say some hot shit and some of it is stupid and uninformed. And like we have to talk about politics or even like these award shows, we have to say something about people that died. Like respect and honor the dead. If it really means something to you and you have something poignant to say, go ahead. That's great. But stop using it for moments.
Yes.
Stop feeling obligated because it just seems like the moment we have to do it. Let someone more qualified do it if they actually have something of substance to add. Don't be like, okay, somebody like, and I didn't watch the VMAs. I just heard little things about it. But like Aretha Franklin just died, right? I'm a big music fan. If I was opening the VMAs and Aretha Franklin just died, I might say something like, rest in peace, you know, great artist, whatever. But I'm not super well educated on Aretha Franklin.
Right.
So I'm not going to go into some super deep, meaningful speech.
Well, you weren't her friend. You never worked with her.
Someone
like, all
else
that.
who is should be up there doing that.
Right. Just
Don't
because you're a
force
big music fan doesn't mean that you're the authority to do that.
Right. And also don't, on the other hand of that, we get into a place now in society where when and I'll just use that as an example. I'm not talking about anything specific. I'm just using it as an example. If I were to get up there in the VMAs and Aretha Franklin just died and I didn't say anything because I am not whatever, we're in a society now where I could get killed for that.
Right.
How do you not address that? Well, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't.
Right.
And I'm going to at least stick by what I believe. And what I believe is you don't talk about shit you don't know.
Yes.
Now you can give your respect. Like I said, rest in peace, great artist.
Right. But that's the thing. That's kind of the reason why I just hate all of these topics is just, it's literally just like you said, damned if you do, damned if you don't. As far as like, to me, we were brought up in a way that was like, dude, everyone's got their own opinions on everything.
Yeah.
Everything. So you cannot go around saying that your opinion is always the truth. Your opinion is always the one that's supposed to matter. That's a super dangerous society that we live in or are starting to live in right now when everybody thinks that their opinion is correct.
Yeah.
That sucks. Like that's not a society I want to live in. I want to live in a society where when I feel something like people treat me different because my eyes are blue, I want to live in a society where I have to literally sit with that for a long time and critically think about it until I feel like I have to do something about it because it's been such a problem for me. And that is the only reason that people are treating me differently. And I have facts that can prove that up.
And
instead of just the way I feel.
No, that's exactly what I said about the examples I gave with like racism and depression, and because there are plenty of circumstances where people have done exactly what you've done.
Right.
They have sat with it, and they've gotten to a point where they're like, it is time to act.
Correct.
And I'm all for that.
Right. And you have to be open to a change of opinion though too, as far as like, and we can't be afraid to, like what you just said. When I brought up that first my eyes are blue thing, you were like, well, that could be the truth.
Yeah.
But it could be or it couldn't be. I don't want a society where you have to feel afraid to be like, well, I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to necessarily say, oh, that's completely not true. That's a false idea. But you can say, I don't think that's true. In my opinion, that's not true because that's all I have is my opinion.
Yeah, but you both have to have facts and the reasons to back up why you think what you think.
Right.
Because if you come to me and tell me you're getting treated differently because you have blue eyes and I just say, no, I don't think that's true. And you say why, and I say, I just don't think it's true.
Right.
That's not enough either.
No. And
because you at the very least have your life experiences to think why you think.
Right. But people are trying to change rules and laws based on
I think what you're talking
truth.
about with all that is like, it's a little murky because there are people on both sides of that.
No, correct.
Like, it's not like it's just everyone doing that and not having real reasons and whatever.
Right.
Like, there's plenty of situations where there are.
Yeah,
but there's
yeah.
just too many that there aren't.
Well, when you're talking about like political things, which are laws and things like that are everybody has to live by, you have to go off of what the truth is, what the majority of people are living on or living by.
Which isn't always the truth either, though.
What do you mean?
Just because the majority of people do something or think something doesn't mean it's the truth either.
Doesn't mean it's the truth.
Just because you just said, like, you have to go by what the majority of people are living by. That's not true, necessarily. It is in some cases. It isn't in others.
No, right, but the only way that you can back up laws that are like completely fair would be to go towards the majority.
I'm not saying that's not how you make laws or whatever. I'm just saying that's not always right.
No, that's not always the truth. But
right.
Yeah, like, and I guess you're misconstruing. Like, I'm not saying the majority are saying this, therefore it's true. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, if the majority of people actually drink Monster in the United States as their drink of choice, that would mean Monster is the most popular drink in the United States.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
No. Oh, it's the truth that Monster is the most popular drink?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
but
what
I don't
I'm
get
saying.
what point you're trying to prove.
That's what I mean by the majority. The majority of fact. The majority of, not necessarily, if you go down the street and they don't prove it. Like, what I'm saying is if you had a survey and you literally asked somebody, do you drink Monster the most out of anything? And in order to prove that, you sat with them for 100 days and they actually pull Monster out and drank it. And you mark that down as true. There's a difference between you walking down the street and being like, do you drink Monster every day the most? And somebody saying yes, and they actually don't. They actually drink Coke the most. But you didn't sit with them and they didn't prove that. So it's just literally hearsay. It's literally just them saying it. So that's the difference between the majority of them saying it and the majority of fact.
Yeah, I mean, I think I get what you're getting at, but the way you're getting at it isn't necessarily clicking with me because nobody like, if you're trying to relate it to the issues we're talking about, nobody has to prove it to you. They have their whole life of experiencing things. They don't have to sit with you and then go prove it to you.
Well, a lot of things that people argue about wouldn't be figured out that way.
What?
They wouldn't be figured, like, you wouldn't have to sit with anybody for 100 days to figure out, like, we have tons of stats that are like out there that.
That's fine. Yeah. And I'm with that. Like, whatever.
Like, I mean, you have to go to like the hospital to get healthcare and things like it's all tracked. It's not necessarily that you have to like sit with somebody and figure out, did you actually have cancer? Like, that stuff is proven. So that's what they make laws on, is like, how many people actually did have cancer in this period of time? Do we need to cut spending on certain things? Do we need to fully spend? But too many laws are being made now where it's like, my grandma had cancer for this amount of time and died because she couldn't get the amount of health care that she needed.
And it becomes a big story. That one thing becomes a big story, and then action needs to be taken.
Exactly.
Rather than like the overwhelming numbers.
And then we end up overspending on that.
And something else loses until that thing has the big viral story. Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to get
That's
at.
the mob mentality shit. And I hate that. Yes. And it goes back to the point of like the oversaturation in the feelings. It needs to be overtaken by like the facts and things that it's never going to be a perfect world, unfortunately.
No. It can only be semi, but that's the thing. Like, there's no way that we can fund everything for everybody. It just can't happen.
We've really gone on a tangent with that.
Yeah.
Really got in our bag there. You need to start a political podcast. You really get in your bag on those political debates.
Dude, I've gone down a rabbit hole. What's up?
I'll smoke you in any debate.
Bullshit. You don't know anything political.
You're right.
What do you know?
I smoke you in any debate we ever have.
What, about sports?
About anything.
Bullshit.
The only thing you beat me in is technology.
I will beat you in any political debate we have ever. And I'm not even sure
I hope
if we
literally never have
anything.
to have a political debate because that's the most boring, annoying thing to ever have.
I would bet we probably agree on
Don't
most
let's
stuff anyway.
not ever get into politics on this podcast because
No, I hate that. Because the bottom line is, if I ever get into a political debate, I sound like a bad person, and I don't want to. I don't want to have that conversation.
maybe you are a bad person.
I'm not, but it's just like I said, you can't save everybody. It's just impossible. Unless somebody like fucking Bill Gates wants to donate all of his money to the United States to cover everybody, then we might be able to talk. But that ain't gonna happen. Especially since our country is in how many trillions of dollars in debt?
More than me.
It's absurd. Anyway, we were asked to talk about our artist Joey Alana by multiple of you.
We've decided to part ways with Joey. It wasn't working out, but we wish him the best. He's a talented dude. He's gonna keep making music. It just won't be under the Specktators label anymore. But we just wanted you guys to know and keep you informed. There's no hard feelings or anything. There's no animosity between us. It just wasn't working out.
There's no juicy story or anything.
No, there's
like
not
that.
like some specific thing that happened and it's like, fuck you. It just wasn't working out. But yeah, we wish him the best. Like, yeah, that's it.
Word, do you want to take voicemails?
Sure. I'm assuming you didn't screen them like you haven't for the last.
I have.
Wow.
We got two. We got two. Here's number one.
Hey, what's up? My name is Antonio. I'm from Texas, and I wanted to know, would you guys ever put the old music, like Canon and all those songs from way back when, on Spotify, like refs? I was just wondering because they're not on Spotify, and I have no idea why they're not. All of them are bangers, All right, peace out. Love, respect.
Thanks for the question, Antonio. We actually get that one a lot. And the main reason why a lot of your favorite old songs are not on platforms like Spotify and iTunes is because we don't own the beats. And the two songs you gave, for example, are not our beats. Those are like remixes. And so we cannot put them up for purchase. And streaming is putting things up for purchase because we make some money off of it. So for the most part, that's what it is. And in general, because of that, our early mixtapes and things are not on Spotify because there are at least a few. There's plenty of there's a fair amount of old songs that could be that aren't but we just went the whole route of just not putting the old mixtapes up because there are also plenty of songs that couldn't, and we didn't want to like separate
Most of the
out.
songs that we have rights to are on streaming platforms, but there are a few outliers.
There's a fair amount of About That Life that could be on there, but that's not.
Like what?
Like pretty much the whole thing.
Well, most of About That Life was on the transition and is therefore on streaming services.
A word?
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look.
Like The Campaign and Tell Me and Fever and what else was on
Yeah,
there?
I guess that's true.
My City.
There's other ones though, like there's like Breaking Point and like Proving Ground, and there's still a lot of early mixtape songs that weren't other people's beats that could be on streaming sites that aren't.
Right.
But
Well, there was a point in time where we sat down and we figured out what the most popular mixtape songs were that I probably made the beats for.
and we put those
And we
on
put those on the
transition.
transition.
So those are the ones, and then there's some outliers that didn't make it. But yeah,
Right.
like yeah, Proving Ground, Tighten Up, Show Me Something.
Tighten Up's on
Wait,
there.
was Show Me Something on there?
Yes.
It is?
Yep.
I won't remember. We could
I think it was just pretty much we just put
Breaking
up the
Point.
ones that I made, the beats that I made.
yeah, that's probably it. But there's a couple others we could have, like I won't remember as an example. You didn't make that one, but it's also not somebody else's beat. We just would have had to get the license for it, which we could have done, but we didn't.
Right. Well, that was back in the day, though, too, that...
When we didn't have any money.
Yeah, we didn't have any money for distribution, and distribution cost a lot more back in that day than it does now.
Yeah, and we didn't have any money to buy any beats, so...
True. Yes. But I think it was mainly... Do you remember how much...
That's good to think about that stuff, man, because, like, so often I get stuck in... we were even talking about the Joe Budden shit and stuff, and it's like, you know, I hate talking about, we've done this and you should do this and all this stuff when I don't feel like I'm close to where I should be and want to be yet, right? But then looking back on stuff like that, things that I take for granted now, like being able to buy a beat when I want it.
Yeah.
Like we went through a long period of time where that wasn't even an option.
It was like 3+ years that we couldn't afford to, which is right on the Joe Budden timeline.
Yeah.
3+ years.
Yeah.
Also, do you remember when it first became available for like independent artists to put their music on iTunes and stuff, and how much that distribution costs compared to now?
Not really.
It was like quadruple
Was it?
what it costs now. Yeah, especially with like services like DistroKid and stuff like that. It costs a lot of money. All right, last one.
Hey guys, it's Alfredo from Texas. So my question is, as someone who's never been to Michigan, if I were to catch one of y'all's live shows or local shows, what would you recommend checking out while I'm there, like as a tourist? Cool, love the podcast. Peace.
It's funny thinking about a tourist to Lansing, but definitely check out Michigan State's campus.
Yep.
And then if you want to like grab a bite to eat and stuff like that, I would say Old Town's probably a good spot to go. Yeah. There's a couple cool restaurants there. Other than that, there's not like, I don't have some crazy thing. Oh, if you come to Lansing, you got to do this.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, you're close enough though to like Detroit and stuff like that though too. Like, you could come to a Lansing
you'd almost
show
be better off doing that. Where did he say he was coming from? Did he say
Texas? Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna go all that way, Detroit would probably be a better bet to sightsee.
It's only an hour and a half away from Lansing. Yeah,
so maybe go sightsee Detroit, an hour and a half away. That would be probably more worth your time. But MSU's campus is cool too.
Yeah.
So I would say, MSU campus if you really want to stick to the East Lansing area. Detroit if you're willing to make a little hour and a half drive.
Right. I think there's a lot more like landmarks in Detroit.
Well,
to, like, go see.
Well, that's what I mean as far as I'm thinking tourists. Like, if you really just were coming to Lansing and you were like, what should I do to kill a day? Like,
like East Lansing is a pretty area, but it's not.
I could give you some random like things to do for sure, but it's nothing like, oh wow, I'm glad you suggested that. That was awesome.
Well, downtown East Lansing is under some pretty serious construction by the university now.
Yeah.
So it's not so pretty right now.
What would be a good rest? Meat would be a good option in Old Town if you want to eat. It's a good spot. But hey, we have a Lansing show coming up.
Yep, be on the lookout for that announcement
very soon. So you should come up for that one.
Yep, we'll be announcing that real soon here. We just got to finalize some details. But yeah.
Ollie is not on the Minneapolis show anymore for those that were hoping to see him. He will be in Chicago, but not in Minneapolis. But I will still be in Minneapolis, throwing down.
Oh, yeah?
That's correct.
All right. We're about an hour and a half in, so I think this is...
That felt longer. That's what she said.
Any last words, Packy?
That was creepy. No, I'm about to go kill this fantasy draft tomorrow. I'm about to get everybody. Is this Marcus?
This is new Marcus Ryan, expected next week.
And at some point, Moti will finish mixing my next track, and that will come out. It's been in his inbox for about a month and a half.
Never.